Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought that I would review this little video that I found very particularly interesting. And this video is by this one channel, I believe, called The Volume. And basically, overall, what The Volume is, I believe, is actually another channel, another podcast, or at least a quick analysis by Mr. Colin Cowherd, who, of course, has his own podcast show, I believe, called The Herd on Fox Sports News. But anyways, when it comes down to it, Mr. Colin Cowherd, he's been making a lot of the same points about all-time great quarterback Mr. Aaron Rodgers that I've made for the past several years. And I've had so many people overall that have told me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't have the talent of a lot of other people. It's the defenses, it's this, it's that. He doesn't have enough talent on offense. Well, people now finally, within this game, have finally started to see what I've been talking about. And it's not that Aaron Rodgers is not an all-time great quarterback. I think that he is. I think that he is a top 10 quarterback of all time. But to put Aaron Rodgers in the top 5 conversation, I just think that it's ridiculous. Because you can never compare Aaron Rodgers to that of a Tom Brady. You can never compare him to that of a Peyton Manning or a Joe Montana. Or really, even in my opinion, I don't think that he's even quite on the level of a Roger Staubach or a John Elway or, even a Johnny Unitas. I don't even think that he's on that level. Where Aaron Rodgers is, in my opinion, he's in that same league as a Brett Favre, a Drew Brees, a Steve Young, a Russell Wilson, a Patrick Mahomes, and a Dan Marino. That's where he is, in my opinion. What Aaron Rodgers is, in my opinion, he's pretty much like Steve Young 2.0. That's pretty much what he is. Because Steve Young was able to get over the hump one time, but he had a lot of issues getting over that mental gap when it came down to that mental hump. And I see the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Even though I think all in all that he is an all-time great quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, what he really reminds me of someone like, overall, if I were to compare him to a boxer, someone like an Oscar De La Hoya, someone that, is looked at as this larger-than-life figure. But when you really take a look at his career, when you really take a look at the bigger moments in his career, it's like, wow, you know what? In the majority of the big moments in his career, this dude is actually often more underwhelmed than what he actually has overwhelmed. It's kind of a similar thing, in my opinion, with Mr. LeBron James in NBA basketball. But at least LeBron James has 4 NBA championships and I believe 4 NBA MVPs. So when it comes down to it, and Aaron Rodgers, you still could argue him as a debatable MVP for right now, even though after he lost to the 49ers, he may have just screwed himself out of it, and now they may give it to Tom Brady, but we'll see what happens. But anyways, Mr. Colin Cowherd, he's going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers' loss to the 49ers yesterday in the divisional round. I'm going to tune in. Let's get into it.
Hi, it's Colin Cowherd. I started The Volume to bring you some of the most authentic voices in sports. While you're here, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks. Okay, in what is one of the more memorable losses of Aaron Rodgers' career, a shocking upset to the 49ers. The 49ers didn't even play particularly well. In fact, on offense, they were anemic and nerve-wracking for much of the game. This is on Aaron. Can he throw to anybody beyond Devontae Adams ever? This is one of my knocks on Aaron for years.
What I'll say about Aaron Rodgers is this. Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented fighters. Been watching boxing too much. But Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented quarterbacks that I've personally ever seen. But like I said, you can never put him on that top 5 level. Not after this. It just is what it is. And people are starting to finally see what I've been saying about Aaron Rodgers for the longest time. Because so many people have always blamed something else when it comes to this dude. This dude has always been so protected by the media. It's always, oh, well, his defense wasn't top 10. Oh, his defense gave up this amount of points. Oh, his offense isn't that talented. Green Bay overall hasn't got him that enough weapons. I've been saying this for years. Those narratives are all just a bunch of horse shit. It just is what it is. I'm not saying that in certain moments that maybe Aaron Rodgers' defenses could have not done better, and maybe that the offenses could have not been a little bit better. But whenever I've seen Aaron Rodgers in the bigger games of his career, especially against a team in the playoffs that had a legitimate chance to actually contend for a Super Bowl, more often times than not, Aaron Rodgers has underwhelmed than what he actually has lived up to expectations. It just is what it is. And Aaron Rodgers, I think, is an all-time great quarterback. But like I said, that's why, in my opinion, with just the way that people talk about him, he probably is the most overrated quarterback that I've personally ever seen. The second most overrated quarterback that I've personally ever seen is probably Warren Moon. Because the way people talk about him, I mean, his playoff record just don't live up to it. The man, I believe, was like 2-7 in the playoffs, and he never even made an AFC championship. At least Aaron Rodgers, he's won a Super Bowl, a few MVPs, and he at least was able to win one Super Bowl. But like I said, this was Aaron Rodgers' chance this year to leave that tier of the Russell Wilsons, the Patrick Mahomes, the Steve Youngs, the Drew Brees, the Dan Marinos, and the Brett Favres. And he has now proven to me that he will never leave that league. He will always be within that league. A quarterback that was able to come up big that one year, but every other year, often underwhelmed.
Doesn't throw interceptions. And he knows he's not going to have as many trophies as Tom. He's never going to be as likable as Favre or Peyton Manning. He won't have as many records as Drew Brees. So,
yeah, Drew Brees does have a lot of records. Let me actually bring up that point because my good friend, who's actually a Green Bay Packers fan, a quarterback that he always tries to debate over Joe Montana is Peyton Manning. Because he takes a look at Peyton Manning and he says, oh, well, Peyton Manning has all the records. And I get the point. But to me, records to me, that's great. But because of the era that we're a part of, and on top of that, because of the pass-happy offense that we're a part of, the records to me only mean so much. Don't get me wrong. But if you have a person that has more records, but, both players are great for the day, and one player clearly does not come up nearly as big in the playoffs as the other guy did, I have to put the other guy ahead of you. It just is what it is. That's why I have Joe Montana clearly overall above that of a Peyton Manning. It just is what it is. And my friend came back and he said, oh, well, 2 Super Bowls just don't define a 16-year career. Yes, but Peyton Manning, when you take a look at his playoff record, he's only positive by 1. What does that say about Peyton Manning? What that says is that he did not usually come up big in the big game moments as the same as some of these other guys. So it just is what it is. That's why Peyton Manning can never be compared on the Joe Montana or Tom Brady level. And that's why Aaron Rodgers, when you take a look at his playoff record, he can never be compared even on the Peyton Manning level or John Elway level. It just is what it is. That's why he has to be compared to Drew Brees, John Elway, not John Elway. He has to be compared to Steve Young, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Brett Favre, and Dan Marino. Those are the guys overall that he has to be compared to.
Aaron is really into his passer rating and his lack of interceptions. That's the thing he's going to end up with, right? Like, that's the one thing. He's the most remarkable passer rating guy. He doesn't throw interceptions, and he plays like it. He plays like he's protecting it. I thought he was super conservative in the second half of this game. He was trying not to lose. And I said,
I agree. And just like when I see a big fight, just like when I talked about Vasily Lomachenko against Teofimo Lopez, sometimes you have to risk it to take the biscuit. And what that means is that sometimes if you're a basketball player, sometimes that may mean that you have to drive the basketball. Sometimes that may mean in football that you have to force it down the field. Even if sometimes in big game situations, it may mean that you have to make a mistake. It just is what it is. But that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he should, every single time try to throw an interception. That's not what I'm saying. Or force it downfield if you're not comfortable. But listen, man, if you're in a big game situation where it's down 50-50, you really overall have to, try to, make some big plays. And Aaron Rodgers, he was having a very tough time with that defense yesterday when it came down to they were able to get to him early. And it's very clear that Aaron Rodgers was very uncomfortable. And the pressure got to him early. And like regular, he was not able to pull through.
Joe Burrow would be my MVP. And I said that before the...
And that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers as well. People always blame Aaron Rodgers' defenses or blah, 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 all this sort of bullshit when it comes down to it. But Tom Brady, for example, last year in the NFC Championship, he had 3 interceptions. He had 3 turnovers just individually overall against that of the Green Bay Packers. He threw them 3 balls. He threw 3 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers was not able to capitalize, I believe, on almost any of those things. He was not able to capitalize on any of those interceptions. So it's not necessarily just that the defenses that Aaron Rodgers has they're just so shit or they're just so bad, because this year he had a top 10 defense. They were able to hold the 49ers to just 13 points. Really they were actually able to hold them only to 6 points, because, only 6 points truly were allowed overall by the defense. The special teams were the ones that allowed that extra touchdown. All right, it just is what it is. All right, so like I said, the defense can be blamed this year, but like I've said, that narrative has always been, super duper overrated. Because Aaron Rodgers, even against the Seahawks many years ago, he was the one overall that blew that game. All right, it just is what it is. You can argue that against the 49ers a few years ago in that NFC Championship. Aaron Rodgers was not that good. Aaron Rodgers also did not capitalize last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Once again, I'm not blaming it all on Aaron Rodgers. But when you're the leader of the team, you have to get your team over the hump. And it's just overall very clear that overall that Aaron Rodgers cannot do it the same way that a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning or a Joe Montana could. That's why he'll never be compared to them. And he doesn't deserve to be. It just is what it is. Once again, that's not me trying to shit on Aaron Rodgers. That's just me saying overall, I don't know why so many people have always tried to compare him to that of a Tom Brady or some of these other quarterbacks. Sure, you can basically say, oh, well, Tom Brady, he doesn't have the talent and he's a system quarterback all you want to. Listen, at the end of the day, Tom Brady has made 10 Super Bowls and he's won 7 of them. You don't just win 7 Super Bowls, one on a separate team just because you're a complete system quarterback. All right? It's obvious that Tom Brady, once again, he has something that not a lot of other quarterbacks have out there. Not only great talent, but the ability to come up big in big game situations.
Playoff started. I think he throws the ball down the field. He plays more aggressively. He's not afraid of making mistakes. He has a short memory when he does. And Joe Burrow today, under relentless pressure, sacked 9 times.
He has a short memory when he does. I like what Colin Cowherd just said there. Because that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. And this usually actually is what happens when, the more intelligent you are, or all in all, the more that you tend to overthink. And Aaron Rodgers, I do believe, is an extremely talented and intelligent quarterback. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why Aaron Rodgers, I just think that he has the same syndrome that other people tend to have, almost as if you're an overthinker. Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning, they had a very similar problem. Sometimes when it comes down to it, they won't go to the easiest option. They start overthinking and they start making the wrong plays, especially in the big game situations. That's why when you take a look at his touchdown to interception ratio, especially in NFC Championship games, I believe that it's a hell of a lot worse than what it usually is. People always, love to bitch, moan, and brag about how Aaron Rodgers has this great touchdown to interception ratio. Take a look at it in NFC Championship games because it's always a hell of a lot worse than what it usually is. Instead of being 5-1, 4-1 like it usually is, he has like 9 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Throwing the ball down the field. Sometimes to a fault. Joe Burrow holding the ball long, looking for a play to develop. Everything with Aaron is checking down, getting it out.
And like I said, the best of athletes or the best of people, even if they do make a mistake, they can come back from it very decently well. And they say, okay, well, you know what? We're going to try again, or we're going to do this. Aaron Rodgers cannot do that. If you get to Aaron Rodgers early, and overall if you're able to put the pressure on him, it can be somewhat easy to rattle him. Now, it's not as easy to rattle Aaron Rodgers as it would be a Matthew Stafford or a Dak Prescott or a Kirk Cousins. So obviously Aaron Rodgers is just not a complete choker like them. But Aaron Rodgers, when it comes down to it, he certainly is no Tom Brady.
Getting hit, not making a mistake, throwing to the one receiver he trusts. This is on Aaron, and this has been a criticism forever of Aaron. Not to be a psychologist, but with Aaron, he's very much aware of how he's viewed, right? Like he's trying to control the media. He's trying to control his legacy and the narratives. He's not going to end up with the trophies or the likability. He's not going to end up in the record books like Breeze. It's that passer rating, that's those lack of interceptions, and he plays safe.
Well, just to compare Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees real quick, even after this playoff game, I probably would still have Aaron Rodgers slightly over Drew Brees just because Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, clearly was more talented than that of a Drew Brees. But in terms of greatness, they're at that same table. It just is what it is. In my opinion, I would rank Aaron Rodgers slightly above Drew Brees, but they're not super duper far apart. Now, in terms of talent, do I think that Aaron Rodgers is very far ahead of him? Yes. But in terms of coming up big in the big game moments, they're right there with each other. They're on the exact same level. It just is what it is.
And I think last year, Matt LaFleur, you got to walk on eggshells a little bit with Aaron when you coach him. Last year, I thought Matt LaFleur was affected by that in the playoffs when he got safe with Aaron Rodgers. But this is, you can't play like this. Matt Stafford's not sitting around worrying about interceptions. Joe Burrow's not. Brady's had pick sixes in the...
Well, let's not compare Matthew Stafford overall to Aaron Rodgers, because Matthew Stafford, he's been one of the biggest choke artists that I've usually seen in NFL history. So I'm not ready overall to really put Matthew Stafford quite on the Aaron Rodgers level, quite as of yet. So we'll see what happens.
Super Bowl. Andrew Luck didn't care. Peyton Manning threw a lot. So did Eli Manning. But Aaron...
Well, Peyton Manning actually did care when it came down to, don't get me wrong, he did throw a lot of interceptions. But Peyton Manning was not also known for coming up big in the big game situations as well. But Aaron Rodgers cannot even be on the Peyton Manning level.
You can't watch that game tonight
Like Peyton Manning and John Elway, those two, in my opinion, even though I would put Peyton Manning above John Elway just because of how much he was able to accomplish and the 5 MVPs and yada, 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 yada. You know, those two are somewhat in the same league, in my opinion. Aaron Rodgers is not even close to them, in my opinion.
Tell me that he wasn't playing to just maintain that lead. And
I agree. He was playing too safe, and that's exactly what he did last year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well, and that's why he didn't show up big in the fourth quarter again. And this is what I've been saying about Aaron Rodgers for years. People always try to blame his defenses. They always try to say, oh, he doesn't have enough talent around him. Well, what are you going to say this year? There's no excuse. You know, it just is what it is. There was no way they should have lost this game. No way. You had home field advantage once again. Like I said, there's a reason why Aaron Rodgers, there's a reason why he's only had one NFC championship inside Lambeau Field.
I love Davante Adams. There's got to be a second outlet.
Like I said, this is going to be one of those teams that were Super Bowl caliber that Aaron Rodgers did not take to the Super Bowl once again. He only had one Super Bowl caliber team that he ever took to the Super Bowl, and that was all the way back in the 2010-2011 season. Every other year, he pretty much blew it. It is what it is, and you can blame whoever you want, but at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is a big part of the blame. When that year they lost to the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship, that was a Super Bowl contending team. They lost. All right, now when he was up against the 49ers, you know, I believe that many years ago against Colin Kaepernick, they lost. All right, when he was facing Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, both times they lost. All right, it is what it is. Even against the New York Giants, if you want to bring them up, even though the Giants, of course, won the Super Bowl that year and beat even Tom Brady, they lost. My point being is this, like I said, when you take a look at Aaron Rodgers' career, you know, we can take a look at the stats and say, wow, you know, he doesn't really have a whole lot of interceptions. Yes, but Aaron Rodgers, when you take a look a lot of the times in the big game situations, he doesn't usually get as much offense flowing as much as what he would in the regular season. It just is what it is. It's very clear that Aaron Rodgers does not come off nearly as big in the postseason as what he does in the regular season.
To be a consistent second outlet, and can we stop always blaming the Packers front office for lack of weapons?
I agree, Colin. Thank you. You're on fire. Because Aaron Rodgers had good run game here. He had Davante Adams and Randall Cobb. He had a decent coach. They changed the coaches. Now they're, you know, possibly still going to blame the coach. There's no one else to blame. And that's why Aaron Rodgers, this game was really so important for his legacy. Because now it's basically like, who are you going to blame? And people are now starting to finally see Aaron Rodgers for who he truly is, which is another Steve Young or another Dan Marino or another Drew Brees. It just is what it is.
I mean, you got to give me a break on this stuff. Sometimes you have to forge a relationship with a second and a third receiver. But this is going to leave a mark for Aaron Rodgers.
It's going to leave a huge mark. The last year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat him at Lambeau Field, I thought that was a huge dent in his legacy. This is this is basically like a shotgun hole in Aaron Rodgers' legacy.
For a kind of a mild weather team to play poorly, I mean, the first half, the Niners' offense was atrocious. Jimmy G essentially now throws the ball.
And that's the reason why overall the loss was so bad. I mean, really, this probably should have been a blowout loss for either team if overall the offense was able to capitalize. But once again, you're Aaron Rodgers. You're supposed to be the MVP of the league. You're supposed to be the most talented quarterback in league history, allegedly, when it comes down to it. And I'm not necessarily denying that. But according to a lot of people, you're allegedly the greatest quarterback of all time. That's why I've never fed into that bullshit. You have to you have to produce consistent results. I don't care overall what team you have. Like I said, if we want to go on that bullshit and say, "Oh, well, this person is better than this person. The only reason why he doesn't win as much is because he doesn't have as much talent." We can allege that with so many players. Like I said, we can take a look at Allen Iverson. Now, Allen Iverson, in my opinion, he's not as talented for basketball as what Aaron Rodgers was for football, in my opinion. And of course, a lot of the Iverson fanboys, they're going to heavily disagree with that. But at the end of the day, like I said, you have to you have to produce consistent results. Otherwise, if we're going to talk about it, Allen Iverson would have to be counted as greater, than that of a Stephen Curry. And of course he's not. It just is what it is.
Well, only over the middle to Kittle or Debo Samuel. He's got one route he loves to throw. He's very effective at it. But I just felt like the Packers.
And a lot of people overall, once again, they always love to say about Tom Brady, oh, well, he only won because of Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick also won a certain amount of the times because of Tom Brady as well. That was a two-man partnership. It just is what it is. All right? Usually people don't usually win without a very decent coach, and you're also not usually going to win without a very decent quarterback, or at least a quarterback that can produce in the big game situations. And Aaron Rodgers, he's not that guy. It is what it is. At least he's not on the Tom Brady level.
Defense, there was a lot of 3 and outs. I mean, Aaron, these were not extended drives. 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, 3 and out, punt, 3 and out. And, I said this about the MVP race. If you're going to sit around and worry, if you're going to talk about Hall of Fames, it's what you do, not what you avoid. Like, I think Mike Tomlin gets into the Hall of Fame, right? But I don't care that he has never had a losing season. Like, that's just saying, I'm not crappy ever. Well, I'm looking for what you can do, not what you avoided. Congrats on not throwing.
I agree with you, Colin Coward. That's a great analysis because you know what? Mike Tomlin, he's pretty much like the Aaron Rodgers of coaches. People always take a look at him and say how overly great this dude is. But when you really take a look at him in the playoffs, especially with the talent that he has had around him, that dude is probably the most overrated NFL coach that I've personally ever seen. He's like the Doc Rivers of the NFL.
Any interceptions. Go look at those decisions by Rodgers in the second half. Look at those series. 3 and out, punt, 3 and out. NFL's just crazy. It's just insane. And I said it Friday on FS1. I didn't feel strongly about any of these games except I think Kansas City tomorrow night feels like Mahomes has been so good in those games. Both Tom Brady and Matt Stafford have injuries and liabilities on the offensive line, so you just got to watch how that unfolds. And
I agree. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus LA Rams game, that's a 50-50 coin toss game. I actually believe that the Bills more than likely will beat that of the Kansas City Chiefs. At least I actually hope so because I'm someone rooting for them. And I'm not usually a person that goes out of my way to say that. But the reason why I'm rooting for them is because I just hope that they can get past the hump. And I do believe that Josh Allen is a great talent. But if he can't get past him at least this year, he's probably never going to get past it. So we'll see all in all what happens with that. But who knows? I've been wrong on every single prediction so far this weekend. So we'll see.
See which quarterback's a little gets a little better protection is probably the quarterback that's going to win. But the question now for Green Bay. Okay, so Aaron's giving you all this drama. Aaron can be difficult to deal with. Aaron's really expensive. Aaron wants to say in personnel, I got to get something for it. I mean, winning the division is not the standard of the Packers. They've been winning the division since Bart Starr. It's going to be very interesting. And Aaron, as we know, is beyond high maintenance.
I agree. And Aaron Rodgers has basically tried to control the narrative just like LeBron James has in the NBA. Aaron Rodgers has always tried to blame everyone else. He's always tried to blame his lack of personnel. He's always tried to blame his lack of defense, his lack of coaching, his lack of this, his lack of that. But people have finally seen this year that, after all, Aaron Rodgers has really been the problem all along. Or at least part of the problem. Because Aaron Rodgers, like I said, great quarterback. But he's not a Tom Brady. He's not a Joe Montana. He's not a Peyton Manning. He's not a repeat Super Bowl contending quarterback. He's just not.
He will not take the criticism well, and many will mock him. He took shots. He put himself above a lot of people. That 25-minute, 20-minute soliloquy, banging on the Packers front office, ripping the media. say what you want about his vaccine, didn't come off well. And I went tonight in the last 15 minutes of the game. I went to a Packers message board. It was a barnyard musical. There are a lot of people in Green Bay, a lot of people in Wisconsin tired of Aaron.
Yeah, and I get it. Because, like I said, after a while, you just have to accept the facts. Aaron Rodgers is the only common factor, in my opinion. You've changed coaches, you've changed a little bit of the front office. He had the personnel around him, and he still overall is now winning consistently. Like I said, it's the same thing that I see with LeBron James. People always try to debate, oh, well, his teams are garbage, his team is this, his team is that. He gets to pick his own personnel. Aaron Rodgers basically got to pick the coach. He basically got to pick who was fired, who was not. Devontae Adams is there, who's the top receiver in the NFL right now. He had a great run game. He always has a great offensive line. All right, when it comes down to it. And on top of that, you had a top 10 defense. There's no one else to blame. There's no one else to clearly blame but Aaron Rodgers. He is the only common factor.
No, Aaron puts himself way up here above the fray. A lot of people are tired of it. And hate to see him go. He's such a likable guy. Anyway, great games tomorrow.
And of course, Colin Cowherd, he don't give a shit about Aaron Rodgers. He's hated that man for a very, very long time, or at least, he's been annoyed with him. And I get it. Because Aaron Rodgers, like I said, Colin Cowherd, he's been saying a lot of the same truths about Aaron Rodgers that I've been saying for the past several years. And so many people always came up with so many excuses. But like I said, the reality has finally came to the fray. But it is what it is.
Hope you enjoyed it. Talk soon. At The Volume Sports. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
But anyways, that's really about it for this video. Now, the big question is, all in all, what can Mr. Aaron Rodgers do? Will he still be with the Green Bay Packers? I'm not necessarily sure. I could see him still staying with the Green Bay Packers. I could see him retiring. I could also see him potentially moving on to another team such as the San Francisco 49ers, or maybe another team that maybe could take him and maybe they could be another Super Bowl contender. But as long as overall there is a decent threat within the NFC, I don't think all in all that, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to get past him. Like I said, he's pretty much this generation's version of Steve Young or Dan Marino. That's pretty much what he is. But anyways, that's really about it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.